everyone, welcome to that 90s Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, James Tunstall. Today I got a very special guest. He's been making an impact lately, pun intended, as 1/3 of Violent by Design and current tag team champion, the one and only Dina. How you doing?
I'm great, James. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Great, thanks. We're in the middle of a heat wave, so we're just making the most of it. Unfortunately, I got really, really bad sunburn on my legs, and now I just can't walk.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it doesn't help that you're recording from a shed. Either way, I don't know if there's a lot of airflow in that little rustic cabin you got yourself in there or not. So I'm sure that's probably not helping your temperature. But yeah,
the shed's part of the charm of the show.
There it is.
I was actually debating to rename the show Wrestle Shed, but I think it's been taken, unfortunately. But so good, and I mean, I suppose we'll go to the beginning. So I would imagine you grew up a fan of wrestling.
Of course, yeah, man. I think a lot of folks my age. I mean, Hulk Hogan was the influence for me. That as a 5-year-old kid seeing Hulk Hogan for the first time, just the bright colors, it just kind of opened my eyes to this whole world of these real life superheroes. And same story that a lot of people my age give and performers give. The very first time that they saw it, they were absolutely hooked, and that was myself. One of my earliest memories is of watching wrestling.
Yeah,
I can't remember a time in my life when I wasn't watching wrestling and when I didn't love it. And like some people who kind of grow out of it, and parents that think their kid's just going through a phase.
Yeah.
Sorry, mom. Sorry, dad. It's not a phase. that phase has never ever ended. That has been my first love and my first passion was professional wrestling.
Oh, I can definitely second that. My brother is what you call a casual fan, but since the start of my podcast, and even I've got him into watching Impact Wrestling, he's just become a diehard again. So it's great to see that Impact is actually bringing fans back with the great matches they've been putting on lately.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait for Slammiversary and having fans in the audience. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, how excited is the rest of the locker room for the prospect of the fans coming back? I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, we haven't been together as a locker room since the announcement was made. So we didn't know the last time we were together as a unit, as a locker room. We didn't know that they were going to be bringing fans back. We didn't know until recently when it was announced. But I know just from the hype from all the wrestlers through their Twitter and Instagram, and that the wrestlers are just as excited as the wrestling fans. I can guarantee you that, myself included.
Yeah, I mean, Impact has done so well during this, obviously, pandemic, because they're obviously keeping the talent safe and obviously keeping fans safe. And with that, they've been doing the fan fest, the online sessions and that, and the meet and greets, you could say. So, they've been doing so well to keep everyone safe. But yeah, I just can't wait to have fans back in that Impact zone. And I'm sure it's going to spare the talent on as well to deliver a higher quality of match, just deliver even more. But so I suppose we'll talk about your first run in TNA in 2009 and your storyline with ODB. So a memorable storyline from back in the day. But how did it feel like doing this original storyline and being the lucky guy?
Yeah, that was fun, man. I mean, I think anybody who was watching at the time or anyone that goes back and watches it now kind of gets a sense that, hey, that crazy dude with the mullet looks like he's having a good time. And that's because I was. ODB was so awesome to work with, is still awesome to work with. She's just such a fun person, an awesome human being. So sometimes you're not always lucky that you get paired with or partnered with such an awesome human being. And I was very, very lucky and blessed to be partnered with ODB in my first run with TNA because it was so much fun. And I was able to show that comedic side and entertaining side that is so important in professional wrestling. So to be able to show that side of my ability and to do it alongside somebody as awesome as ODB was a really, really cool experience.
Awesome. And I think it's safe to say that Joe Exotic must have been an Impact fan because he basically ripped off your look.
I started to, when that kind of show kind of blew up, I was getting tweeted at and from people like, man, is that Cody Deaner? And totally, yeah, man, they took my 09 TNA gimmick and he ran with it. And I wish Netflix would have called me. I think
Yeah.
I could have done just as good a job, but oh well, you win some and you lose some.
Oh yeah, it was a crazy show. Like when I first heard about it, it was called Tiger King. I'll be honest, Dina, I thought it was going to be like Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, just someone with
Sure.
tigers. But then you watch it, I'm like, whoa.
Oh yeah, man. I actually haven't seen it. I've only seen kind of clips. I never really got into it. I'm a busy guy, so if I'm going to dedicate my time to a television series,
Yeah.
that's a big commitment. So I actually haven't seen it. I've heard some stories, and then in some interesting connections between him and the wrestling business too. I've heard some of those stories as well. But yeah, I like I said, I wish Netflix would have called me. I could have done a good job, but I did get to show some fun, entertaining side in my most recent run in TNA with the Cody and Quarantine stuff. That was a
Yeah.
blast. So I kind of had my own little mini television show on Impact for a couple of weeks there. So that was a good time.
Awesome. And so, like that first one with ODB, you
Yeah.
fought for the Knockouts title, which was, like you said, it was just such a fun storyline. And after that, you made your way back to the Indies, but obviously you made your return and started teaming up with cousin Jake, who you've fell out with since. But I mean, we'll talk about the run. How did it feel like becoming more of a tag team wrestler? Because it seemed to fit you to a T.
Yeah. I think if you look at my career and kind of what I've done, especially with TNA and Impact Wrestling, you can see that there's an evolution, right? When I came back a few years ago, I did not come back with the same attitude or same look or anything that I had done in 09, 010. I'd done a lot of evolving in my character. So to come back into tag team wrestling with a cousin, a tag team partner, was just an evolution and was so much fun because the Impact tag team division is like the best tag team division in the world. So to be a part of that, along with an amazing performer like Jake, was awesome. And then now the major evolution is to see what I'm doing now on screen, which is all intentional and all on purpose, and very proud of. But my coming back to Impact Wrestling with a performer as amazing as Jake was also a blessing, which I guess you can see there's a common denominator there as well. Getting to work with ODB, an amazing performer and human being. Working with Jake, amazing performer, amazing human being. The group of Violent by Design, all top-notch performers, main event top guys, and also all amazing human beings. So I've been very, very lucky.
Yeah, and I mean, you joined by Design, turning on Jake, and man, I knew. Look, I don't know what I was more upset about, the fact that you turned on your cousin or the fact that you cut off the mullet. I was devastated at both things. So why, Dina? I mean, we've got a segment of so we review WWE pay-per-views from the 90s, and we've actually got an award called Mullet of the Night. And when I saw the fact you chopped off your mullet, I'm like, why?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to evolve. You have to change. If you're not changing and evolving, then you're getting stale and stagnant. And I knew that I needed to make a major change. And sometimes those changes can be subtle tweaks, but then sometimes you need to not be so subtle and you need to make a major change. And I just felt personally in my career, as somebody who's been in the business for 20 years, I've actually had a couple times in my career that I have made major changes. And I just knew that now was the time to make that change. And I'm so glad that I did, because now I'm teaming with my friends and some of the best performers in the wrestling business in Violent by Design, and we're able to show the world that we are the best performers on the planet. And that's an honor and a privilege.
Yeah, I've heard that you've been longtime friends with EY. I've had the pleasure of having him on my show. He's a great guy. So unfortunately, he's injured for the time being. But how is it being able to just be with him, like on all these shows and teaming with him?
It's amazing. I mean, he's literally one of my best friends. I trained with him in my first year of wrestling and started traveling the roads with him. So he's been one of my best friends. I was at his wedding and he was at mine. We have a legitimate, friendship. He'll be my friend for life. And the cool thing about what we're doing as a group is we all actually have a connection as a unit, not just on screen with what the fans are seeing, but also behind the scenes. It's real. It's not fabricated. Both myself and Eric Young were there in Joe Doring's very first week of wrestling school. I was there when Joe Doring was breaking into the business. I have wrestled with and partnered with and worked with Rhino for years on the independents. He's just across the river from me in Michigan. And for years of my career, I've been working with Rhino. So is EY. So there's a legitimate, real connection between the four of us. And I think that shows on screen because the connection we have cannot be fabricated. It's 100% real.
Yeah, I want to talk about Joe Doring because I'll be honest, Dina, like I wasn't really known to his work that much. I heard about him in All Japan and then I watched him debut in Impact and man, the guy's a throwback to like your Stan Hansens and such. He's a big dude. So how hard of a hitter is he in the ring?
I've had to wrestle Joe Doring, unfortunately, in the past.
Yeah.
And to make a comparison between him and Stan Hansen, dude, that's an awesome comparison. He when he brings it, he brings it. But Joe is, like you said, he's a throwback. He is unique. There is not another performer, in my opinion, in the wrestling business right now that is anything like Joe Doring. He is complete. What is old is new. It's fresh. He is so fresh with what he is doing. There's no other performer doing what Joe Doring is doing right now. I don't think he gets enough credit for how unique he is and how amazing a performer he is with a man at his size and his experience. There is nothing like Joe Doring in independent or at and wrestling at all in general. There's nothing like Joe Doring, but there is now, and VBD's got him, and we're gonna have him for a long time, and we're lucky to have him.
And that's what I love about VBD, because like you said, what's old is new again. And to me, there isn't many great just actual heels who doesn't care if the fans cheer or boo them. And that's, for me, when I watch you, that's how you come across. You just don't care. You just want to do what you do. You don't care if you get cheered or booed.
Yeah, 100%. There hasn't been in a long time, I think, a faction in wrestling of four bad guys that don't care what the fans think and aren't joking around and just go out there and just beat people up and are what we say we are, and that is violent, and we just do what we say we're going to do and kick people's asses. You haven't seen a group like that in a long time. A lot of people try to switch things up and, there's a funny guy in the group and there's all these kind of characters. Everybody in our group is unique and has their role to play, but we are not joking around. You're right. We're just badass heels moving forward, and we're going to continue to do that. And we got some surprises in store for the Impact audience as we move forward here the next coming months.
And speaking of surprises, you just brought a big one out at Rebellion there, W Morrissey, and big surprise, pun very much intended. And when I spoke to him a few weeks ago, I actually asked him, I said, which Impact stars actually surprised you the most? And he said, to be honest, James, said Dina, he says, he has stood out so much to me how talented he is. But so that's his opinion. What's been your opinion of him since he's joined Impact Wrestling?
Awesome, dude. The cool thing about Impact management is they're bringing in not just good performers, but good human beings. And Morrissey is one of those guys. And I've kind of always respected him and as a performer, but I wasn't sure how he was going to gel with the locker room, especially with his history. He's very open about his past and his struggles in the past. So it's kind of maybe a potential wild card, but I mean, within minutes of meeting the guy and talking to him and then getting to share the ring with him, it was it was so apparent that this guy had completely changed his life around, and any issues that he might have had in the past were not present anymore. I mean, you can't help but just respect a guy for changing his life around the way that he has. And then also, I think he's doing the best work that he's ever done in wrestling. Impact is very lucky to have him because we're getting the best W Morrissey that the world has ever seen, in my opinion. And for him to praise me and mention me, that's humbling for sure. Because there's a lot of great performers in Impact Wrestling, not like great wrestlers that he's met and worked with. So for him to praise me and notice me, that means a lot.
Awesome. And Rhino joined the group, and he brought along his Call Your Shot, and he's now tag team champion. So, I mean, officially, it's your first title in Impact Wrestling. How's it feel being tag team champion and carrying this Freebird rule, which you've rechristened the VBD rule?
There you go. I'm glad. I was just about to correct you, James, but you corrected yourself. It's the VBD rule, James. And look at the history books. Look at the people that have held that championship. Look at the amazing, amazing wrestlers throughout history and the history of those belts who've held them. They're some of the best professional wrestlers of all time. So to be now associated with that group of performers and have my name in the history book of Impact Wrestling right alongside the Impact Tag Team Championships, I mean, that's validating. I've always known that hard work pays off. And I've always known that I could hang with the championship and hang with the top guys in the business and in the wrestling world, you know, international stars. I've always known that about myself, but now I'm getting to prove that to the world. So that feels good. And that means a lot to me too.
Awesome. And before we do get to fan questions, I want to bring and talk about like the great charity work you've been doing. I mean, it's amazing, all these good causes you've been doing, Give It for Charity. So can you tell everyone about that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. First of all, a number of years ago, kind of started to realize that I had a connection with a lot of wrestling fans, and not just, there were specific wrestling fans, young wrestling fans at a lot of the shows that I was performing at and working at. I think it goes back to your very first question of me being a fan when I was a young kid and just loving wrestling. I started to, I think, make a connection with young wrestling fans because they could tell that I still view wrestling almost as a child, and I still have that passion. So for whatever reason, I don't know, children were kind of drawn to me and are drawn to me. And I started to develop relationships and friendships with these young kids and their parents that I was seeing at shows all the time. And I decided I kind of wanted to give back to my community and started to do some fundraisers with some of these kids with charities that meant something to them. And it kind of just snowballed from there. And I've started to do fundraising with my young wrestling fans for different charities all across North America. And it's just a passion project of mine. And I think it's also a cool way to kind of show the world that some of the kindest, best people on the planet are professional wrestling fans. Man, the wrestling fans have been so giving. And some of these charities that I've worked with and raised money for, it just blows them away how giving and generous wrestling fans are to some of these causes. So I appreciate that. People can go to my website and kind of learn more about the different charities that I've raised money for and some of the amazing fans that I've kind of connected with to raise money alongside. It's been a huge passion of mine and will continue to be.
Awesome. Right, so we got loads of fan questions, but we're running low on time, so we'll throw a couple of fan questions out to you. Okay. So, from Demo God 1, thoughts on Steve Macklin joining Impact?
Another guy that, first of all, has not gotten to prove kind of what he's worth and what he's capable of. And Impact Wrestling has always done such a good job of giving people opportunity that haven't been given an opportunity before. And he's one of those guys. And I think he's going to seize this opportunity and he's going to surprise a lot of people and open up a lot of people's eyes to show just how talented he is.
Awesome. And at UTT Rob, what was filming Wrestle House like?
Oh man, what a whirlwind. Like, I can say so much about that, but I think two highlights for me, for kind of in general about Wrestle House, is one, such a unique way of highlighting different characters on the show, like such an outside the box way of thinking, and so unique. Just Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling does such a good job of thinking outside the box on things, and Wrestle House is one of those things that don't think it gets enough credit and enough love from the wrestling world. More people need to go back and watch that and appreciate it for what it was. Such a unique outside the box concept. And then also the creative team and the production team of pulling that together. You know, that all those weeks of television were filmed over like a 48-hour period. Like
Wow.
the amount of content that was created in such a short amount of time and how it ran like clockwork. Oh man, kudos to the talent for putting in those long days, and then kudos to the production and creative team for being able to put that all together. Dude, it was fun. If you couldn't tell from watching that the performers are having fun, then you're missing something, because man, we had a blast doing it, myself included.
Awesome. Well, Dina, I could talk to you for hours, but we're running low on time. But in UK fans, they can watch Impact Wrestling every week on the Impact Plus app. But before we do go, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, I got Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all at Cody Diener. Very easy to find. Happy to interact with my fans and for people to follow everything that's going on in my career, both inside and outside of the ring, and the fun and unexpected things that are in store for VBD and Impact Wrestling coming forward. You can get all that stuff through my social media and, like you said, on the Impact Wrestling app. Awesome app. I mean, I got the app, and I'm going back and watching, like I was saying, the amazing performers in the history books. Man, you have access to all this amazing content, a lot of content that people have forgotten about, including Wrestle House. So get Impact Plus app and go back and rewatch Wrestle House, and you are in for a treat.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks very much, and hopefully we'll do this again one day.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Well, thank you.
Hey, thanks for checking out this interview. I hope you enjoyed it. No, I did. That's for announcement for next week's interview. So, travelling back to the 90s and the face of WWE in your house, the one and only Mr. Todd Pettingill. Had a great chat talking to Todd. Honestly, one of my funniest interviews. Such a character, great stories, just such a great guy and a great personality. And I can't tell you enough how much I really enjoyed this interview. So please come back and check this out next week, because you are really going to enjoy it. Some great stories from personalities from the 90s. Was he the Elmo from Fondle Me Elmo? Find out. And yeah, if you want to check out that interview and support the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel out. I know I sound like a broken record, but before I got YouTube, I didn't realise how much it helps. It really does. So yeah, if you could help us just by hitting the subscribe button, a like or 5-star rating if you listen on podcast platform, leave us a comment, please. It really does help the channel out. And yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, you can do. Follow me on Twitter at 90s Wrestling Pod. Follow me on Instagram at 90s Wrestling Podcast, and also on Facebook, James Pod. But we have got the Facebook group, that 90s Wrestling Podcast, and it's growing pretty quick, and a lot of fun chat there, and you can see where I release my videos and stuff. So yeah, please check that out also. So everyone, until then, I'll check you in the next one. Bye.